Institute Design and Merchandising. Welcome. Wow. And guys, trust me, there is so much more here that it is just amazing. So you cover a whole lot of industries.
I started off, I owned an advertising agency.
Oh,
and so
okay,
we have to handle a lot of clients from a lot of sectors. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So this is good.
Yeah, it's great.
This is great. So tell me more than what these words are telling me about you and how you got to be, how you've acquired all of this wonderful experience and how you got to the place where you're willing to share.
Well, it's so funny. I often tell people that my mother was an entrepreneur, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's a good
I was an only child.
Okay.
So that meant that I didn't have other siblings to play with. So I found it important to play and keep myself entertained. So as a little kid, 8 and 9 years old, I was playing business. My dolls were my customers.
Oh, my God.
I knew 10 key by touch before I knew what that meant. I had every form that I could find that my mother had used in business. You needed those forms in my business. And I think the one day that she really realized that I was up to something, she came in and caught me. I had made a bunch of fake credit cards. And so she was like, okay.
Wow.
We need to talk.
Wow. Now, what was the business your mother was in?
She started off, she had been in real estate, actually. She was a commercial broker. She was doing land transactions initially, and then she moved into residential real estate and then eventually into communications.
And you know what? I think it's interesting because I come from a generation of entrepreneurs as well. I'm a third-generation entrepreneur. But I think real estate seems to be the one industry that children recognize that their parents are in business for themselves. Yeah, more so than any other. Because if they're leaving and going to, a store or whatever, they're not quite sure if mom and dad owns the store,
right.
Unless, that's spoke of at the dinner table.
Certainly.
But real estate, because of the nature, I think, of real estate, that they're in business for themselves.
Yeah, they're hustling. And it tends to bleed into weekend or what should be time off. They end up working a lot. If you're engaged with clients during the day, you tend to do your paperwork in the evening. Mm-hmm. Or if you're doing residential, then you work weekends. Mm-hmm. So you're out canvassing, attempting to create new opportunities.
Yeah.
So it's one of those businesses.
So your children really get to see that. Wow, mom is working hard, or dad is working hard. More so mom, I think, in that industry than dad. So, wow, cool. So were you a real estate agent?
I was not. My career, again, started in advertising. I had no interest in going into the real estate business because that was a business that my mother was in, but I knew that I would be an investor.
Okay.
And so I had an early interest in investing and in owning buildings.
Wow.
That's what intrigued me about being a successful business owner.
Okay. And so those are what your degree obviously is in marketing.
My doctorate is a doctorate of business administration with a concentration in international business.
Okay.
And of course, if you go back through other, degrees, I've studied not only marketing, but I also studied management, organizational leading, because I was really interested in being able to develop new teams and be able to communicate and connect with those teams.
So have you worked for corporations, or did you immediately?
No, I did. Actually, I had the great opportunity right out of high school to start my first business. I was looking for part-time employment, and I had been a student that worked at the Unified School District, and so I had amazing typing skills. Played piano, great skills. Uh-huh. So I was overqualified for the jobs that were being offered part-time. So people wanted me to come to work full-time and forget about college, and I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And so my mom came across this opportunity for me to respond to an RFP and to take a chance and see if I'd win the contract. So my first contract was with the California State Library Association, and I helped to set up a program called Second Start Adult Literacy.
Amazing. How old were you?
18.
Wow.
And they were checking there going, wait a minute, are you legal? Because at 18, I probably look like a kid. So
but to even know what an RFP is at 18.
Right. Well,
and to apply for one and then get it, that's just, okay.
Yeah.
There's grown folks who in business for 20, 30 years that when you go RFP, they're like, what's that? Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, you were way ahead of the curve.
I said every opportunity I had. I said I've been working for a long time because even as a teenager, we ran the snack bar in our park, and so we would develop the menu, the pricing strategy, and how we were going to market and sell our goods, and then we would take all the money we made and we'd go on a team summer trip. So
wow,
money and making money and looking for ways to create businesses has been an interest of mine.
Okay. And then you've actually, so you're a business coach as well.
Yeah, I end up coaching some companies, entrepreneurs.
Okay.
In fact, I'm working on a new program, a hyper-growth series that's going to be about a 10-session series and to scale some companies.
Okay, and what will that entail?
So basically, I'm going to walk the companies through every functional domain of their organization from soup to nuts and assess where they are when they begin and then track how that business grows and expands. And so I'm giving them top shelf, Fortune 500 type solutions, but for businesses that have an opportunity and potential to grow.
Now, so obviously you're dealing with businesses that mid-size?
Listen, it's about the entrepreneur. If you have a vision for growth, then there's a way to map out the growth process for that business. So I tend to focus on, I say companies need one of three things. They need capital, they need to build capacity, they need additional customer acquisition strategies. So much as you were sharing earlier, those are the important things, because the only way, if you're going to build more business, you've got to either take better care of the customers you have, you've got to get some new customers, or you've got to look at how you manage your processes, so that capacity building, because sometimes people go out and they increase their top line, but the bottom line doesn't increase because they're spending as much or more to address the capacity.
Right,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
One of our, we're broadcasting live on on Facebook, and so Candace, she owns a boutique. It's called All That and More, and she's got some great marketing skills, so she wants to know what type of businesses do you coach?
The sectors really don't matter, because, again, when I go back to the strategy, oftentimes what the business owner should be the expert in their particular sector. I'm the expert in understanding the strategies necessary to build that business. So I don't have to be the expert in that particular sector, although I do have a background in retail, so I happen to have some expertise.
You hear that, Candace?
Yeah,
she was at the Fashion Institute.
Yeah, exactly. So I started off in that business. So and then that's the thing, is I had the opportunity to work with. What was really great early in my career is, although I started off as an entrepreneur, when I went into corporate America, each sector where I worked for an organization, I had the opportunity to work for the leader in that space.
Okay.
And so what I tell people often is, when you learn how the leader operates and then you go out and replicate that in your business, you're going to have a competitive advantage over other organizations.
Right, exactly. And, and it's funny, because when I have worked, let me see, Candace says, is the 10 course, I say, what type of businesses is the 10 course? So she just explained that. Yeah. When I did work at corporate America for probably the first 15, 20 years of after I got out of school. And I did it primarily for that next level of training, because you're not going to get that in school.
Right.
If you're in your MBA programs or business programs, they're just going to give you the lecture theory. But you don't actually get to see what it looks like until you go into a company. But what I find for most people, when they're just there as the worker bee. But I was there observing how the company itself ran. Yes. And then I needed to know how the money actually was managed, right? So I went back and for my accounting skills and degree in bookkeeping, and I needed to see how exactly how do you create the pricing piece, the retention piece. So I got to see that in the accounting department.
Right.
And I also got to see it from a budgeting standpoint, and from a planning standpoint, and from the visionary standpoint. So that was my PhD. university was working for them. And when I had what I needed, then I came back out, and then I used that in my coaching business or at practice. Or at that time, actually, it was accounting and bookkeeping. And then it's evolved to where it is today. But whenever I needed a new subject and I needed to see how it was done from a corporate level, then I went in. So one of the things that I recognize from, and I'm sure you do as well, from our small business owners in our community is they don't have those skill sets.
Right.
And when they start their businesses are on such a small level, and then they don't know how to grow it to that next level.
Absolutely.
So what is some of the advice that you would give those business owners or...
Absolutely. So I always tell companies when we're working on either a business or a strategic plan, what you want to understand are who are the category leaders in that particular space. Mm-hmm. And so I say there's a couple ways to identify them. So you look at the Fortune 500 companies that occupy your space. You then look at the companies that occupy the Inc. space because they're going to be a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. And then you look in your local market at the companies that are featured oftentimes on the local business journals. And from that, when you've identified now, these are the players in the business, if you can identify a publicly traded company in your space, take a look at their 10K or, their 10Q report, your quarterly or annual reports, mm-hmm. so that you understand how they're describing the potential of growth in that particular sector. What decisions are the larger companies making? Mm-hmm. And then identify how that's relevant in your local market.
Okay, you guys hear that? Because that's really important. Because again, we as a community, and I was having a conversation with a banker yesterday from City National Bank, and he was engaging in some meetings with some of the supplier diversity opportunities at the airport, and he was I could hear the frustration in his voice. I mean, we're standing in a parking lot and he's expressing it because he knows he's sitting at the table. And it's harder when you sit at the table and you hear the conversations and then you come back to our businesses and you're like, oh my God, we're so far behind. I don't even know how we're going to ever catch up, or how we're going to move the needle and move the people along with the needle, because they're so resistant to that change. And we have to change.
You have to change. You have to evolve. Business is dynamic. When you think about your customers are always changing and evolving. And so in the old days, you used to think about marketing from the standpoint of, well, I'm in retail, so I need to look how other retailers operate. But that's not the lay of the land these days. Mm-hmm. You have to understand customer experiences. And so your customers are impacted by all types of organizations. And so based on their last experience, if it was a great experience, if I'm a customer and I just finished placing an order on Amazon and everything was wonderful, and then I call your business next, I'm expecting your business to match this experience that I just had at Amazon. Mm-hmm. Or if I walk into Starbucks and it was amazing, mm-hmm. and then I turn around and walk into your business, I'm expecting your business to live up to this Starbucks experience.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about in the very beginning. And that has nothing to do with how much money the company has.
It has nothing to do with how much money the company has. You can't go, oh, I'm sorry, sir, my business is small, I'm not Starbucks. The customer doesn't care.
Right, exactly. And it has nothing to do with it anyway.
It has nothing to do with it. It's like we just want a similar experience, and we oftentimes can't even call it out. It's just you're feeling a certain way, and then you're startled when suddenly you're not having that continued feeling. It's like, wait, what happened? What did I do?
Right, exactly. Like,
what happened?
What? In fact, in some instances, you go somewhere and you get this. I recently, this was about a year or so ago, I had gone to I want to say it was a Burger King or a Carl's Jr., and it was outside of LA city limits. And from the call box all the way up to the cashier, I was like, where am I? The customer service was just excellent for a drive up. And I'm going, where am I? And so when I got up to the front, by the time the 3 different windows, because you got to first submit the box where you order your food, then the person that's taking your food, and then finally the person that's delivering your food, right? They were all just like, I gave them an A plus. And I had to say something. I was like, this was an awesome experience from the back to the front. Then I came into LA a couple of days later, and I'm going, okay, wait a minute. That wasn't the same experience. What has same franchise, not the same franchise, but the same business, still a fast food place, same from brand, but it was light years difference in the customer service, and so it makes a big difference.
Oh, it makes a big difference. I remember when I had my advertising agency, and a major retail bank wanted us to run an advertising campaign, and so it's always been my policy that I go and shop the customer. And at that time, again, remember, I was very young-looking executive, and I said I'll go to the branch in several different locations and notice my experience. Needless to say, when I went into certain areas, the experience wasn't very, very favorable. And I told them straight up, I said, you guys can pay us millions of dollars to run an advertising campaign, but it's really not going to matter because the customer experience when you walk through the door is not going to cause the customers to be sticky. They'll walk right on in and turn around and walk right on out. It has nothing to do with the effectiveness of our campaign.
Right. And I don't know, a lot of times the owners don't recognize that their employees are they're the first person that you reach, and they're the first impression that you have, and if you have not trained them properly, your business is you're going to see that in your revenues.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone used to talk about the ladies running the front end, the receptionists, ladies and men, because we had a diverse team. And so that first point of contact, that's the person that I'm always making sure, are you wonderful today? How can we make sure you're having a wonderful day? Because you're the first point of contact.
You're the first point of contact. You're the first impression.
Absolutely.
It's like the book, Candace says, good stuff. Take me. But yeah, you're the first, and I don't know if there was a Facebook post that was posted this week and I want to say this was Florida. And a young lady was coming in the drive-thru at a taco stand, and when she got up and I don't think they had the 3-window process, it was just one. And so when they got to the window, the young lady that was working there, the employee, she was saying, taking the order, she goes, I don't speak English, and I'm not going to take your order.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you.
and I want to say it was a Taco Bell, and so so she was Hispanic, and the girl in the car was black, and she was not being rude. She was like, I want to order, and they're like, I don't speak English. Now they could say that, and she says, well, get someone that can take the order. Nobody here speaks English. So excuse me, it's at night, so they're not coming in the store.
Right.
So whoever drives up, you're supposed to service them.
Wow.
And so the young lady's like, okay, well, order number 6. Okay, it doesn't matter that you don't speak English.
Right.
Order number 6. I want the 6. And no English.
Wow. That's unheard of, but that's the type of business that should be out of business.
That's right.
If you don't recognize that you're offering a service to customers, then you really shouldn't be in the business of offering a business that's front-facing to customers.
Right, exactly. You should not have anything to do. You should work behind the scenes. You should do fulfillment.
Exactly. Go work in a warehouse, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you get more and more of that. It's like all of a sudden people think that I'm going to have a successful business, but I don't have to offer any type of customer service whatsoever, and we're going to spend our money.
It's so unfortunate, and I think sometimes people will give in and spend anyway, or almost begging the business to allow them to spend their money. I'm like, honey, I'm the quickest. If it's not feeling right, guess what? I can go and vote with my dollars elsewhere.
And that's what we have to look at is how valuable our dollars are, especially in the black community.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, because we got trillions of dollars, and we're not using those trillions of dollars in order to acquire the power that we need.
Absolutely.
That we can get from that trillion of dollars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we took those dollars and invested in and supported some Black-owned companies that could grow and scale,
Mm-hmm.
that cover multi-sectors, it would be marching to a whole different experience
Mm-hmm.
as a community and as business owners.
Right, exactly.
Everyone would sit up and pay attention. It would be a different day.
It would be a different day, and I think that we are at that place, but now I guess we need to know how do we, and so this is your area, how do we start helping our businesses move to a place where they can scale up to utilize the power that we do have with our consumer dollars.
And so it really is, again, kind of back to that basis. I know it sounds like I'm simplifying it, but I think sometimes people spend a lot of time making things overly complicated, and as a result, you're unable to execute when something is so complicated. If I sit up here and speak to you from a theoretical perspective,
Right.
it may sound wonderful, but how does that then apply to my business? If I say, hey, take a look at your last quarterly sales and look and see what type of capital you need to address the capacity, if you need additional capacity, or take a look and see if there's any trends around your customers that you need to address. Because you either need to get new customers, you need to keep the ones you have. There's some things that you need to do if you're going to continue to grow your business. And if you need to do customer acquisition strategies, but you don't have the resources necessary, where can you identify new resources?
Okay. Yeah. So if you guys got any questions you'd like to ask Dr. Ardrey, phone number is 323-293-3375, or you can, if you're on Facebook, you can put a question there and then I will ask her. But yeah, it's so interesting, and I know sometimes I feel like I'm leading our business owners or our community to the water, and they just won't drink, and I'm not quite sure if it's out of fear or what the hesitation is that because some of them have some incredible ideas. I do know a lot of our businesses in our community have gotten there by default. And so they don't have, we went to school for it, so they don't have the conceptual piece on what do I need to do? What are my steps? And then it just seems so overwhelming with running their business because they have everybody wearing the same hat.
Right.
In fact, I was at yesterday when we were at a seminar. Hersha says, who is Candace? Oh, okay. Please type in the guest name and her business. Well, her name is Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, Ardrey.
That is correct.
And the name of her business is
Blue Diamond Group, Inc.
Blue Diamond Group, Inc. And she's actually got a workshop
coming up. And I sure hope you'll come out and check it out.
Let me pull it up so we can get a little, because you got it right there, and I actually have it here as soon as my computer pops.
So on Saturday, September 29th, we're going to be over at Lavender Blue from 9 a.m. to noon.
Okay.
And we'll have a workshop on creating corporate credit.
Well, now let's talk about corporate credit, because that's a great segue into that little issue. So our businesses don't know anything about that, right?
Well, it's not just our businesses. I've seen this across the board because with my company, Blue Diamond Capital, for the last few years, we focused on assisting companies with securing their commercial spaces, so commercial brokerage and commercial finance.
Okay.
And oftentimes, I discovered that companies have clients that have been in business 30 years, and they never knew that there was a need to build corporate credit. But also the thing is that they didn't realize the value of having that identity. I have people say, well, I don't want to go into debt. And I say, are you thinking like an employee? Or are you thinking like an entrepreneur? Because capitalism, organizations are built on leveraging resources. At the end of the day, a CEO's job is to set the course for the organization and then find the resources that will allow you to execute that business vision. And so be they monetary, technology, human resources, all of these raw material resources, you need to have the wherewithal to
right. And you need not to use all of your great
cash,
topic.
Yeah, you need king.
You need your king. And in fact, that was when I launched the QuickBooks class last Monday. I was trying to think, okay, I can these are small business owners. What's the best way to lead into this? And what I did was I did it on cash flow, and how the cash flow is so important in order to get you to a place to manage your finances, right? The financial structure of your business. And so when we were doing that, and so a couple other people were saying, one person had a nonprofit, and I said, well, who are your sponsors? She goes, I put all my own money in. No.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, and even our small business, no. Right. You build your credit, but again, they think it's their personal credit, so they don't understand the definition between corporate credit and business credit from their personal credit.
Absolutely, and I think that part of the challenge is when you go and you start your business and you're dealing often with retail-facing banks. Mm-hmm. The retail bank says, well, come on in, you can apply for a business loan, and the dirty little secret was that many of the banks are basing their decision on what you own. Oh, you have a house. Oh, that house looks like it has this much equity. Okay, we'll give you a business loan. They're not giving you a business loan based on your business. They're giving you a loan based on your personal assets. And so that's where the mistake begins.
Okay.
And so it's like, no,
and of course they're not going to tell you that, right?
They're not going to tell you that. No, because it's a numbers game. It's right. If I can get as many folks to give me the collateral on their house, hey, I'm going to take it. Because when you're building corporate credit, then you're building credit for an organization that oftentimes is not personally guaranteed. So then that means that you're not going to come and get my house if for some reason the business fails. And so what creditor is going to tell you that off the bat? They'd rather you say
no, because they're looking for some collateral. Right, exactly.
It's easier for them, right? But at the end of the day, if you create your credit profile, and that's where you're beginning to build your Dun & Bradstreet profile, that becomes what creditors look at to determine if your business is creditworthy.
Right, exactly. Now, how do they, let's see here, we got a couple questions. Let's see, Candace says, we don't want to be told no, so we use our own money.
Listen.
Listen,
no,
Candace.
No, it's no big deal. Sometimes you get no, and you'll be grateful that you got no because you really needed to go to another source to get your yes.
Okay, so Candace says she's going to be in your class next Saturday. Candace is at the Lavender Room September 29th from 9 a.m. to 12:30. Early registration is $49 if you do it before the 15th, so we're past that. So it's $59. And I will post where you go to register as an Eventbrite. Yes. So it's actually how to get business credit and loans.eventbrite.com. What's the phone number? You want to give me your phone number?
Sure. My office is 888-5-BLUCAP. That's 888-525-8227.
Okay. So, can you tell them about Dun & Bradstreet? Because, I obviously, when I went to my university, my corporate university, all those companies had their own D&Bs. And so then I took that over to my clients. And I recall going to a church and they didn't have their Dun & Brad. And I put it all in place. And they had some interesting issues. So their credit was like, and vendors and everything, and then when I came in and just by establishing their Dun & Bradstreet, we were back on track within a year.
Yeah. It's like anything else, it takes time to build, but what you want to do, even for companies, oftentimes they're first introduced to Dun & Bradstreet when they're trying to do a government contract because you have to have a D&B profile in order to contract with the government. But outside of that, they don't realize that, wait, this is the business repository. So this is where you establish the credibility of your organization. But oftentimes what I've seen is let's back up before we create the Dun & Bradstreet profile and make sure that you have organized your business appropriately.
Right.
I can scream almost every time I see an email that's a Gmail or Yahoo account. No, that is not going to work. You're using your cell phone for... No, you're not using your cell phone for your business. Oh, you're using a P.O. box or a UPS address. No.
Right.
Let's set the foundation up correctly. Right. And look and feel like a corporation. Because who knows? many companies that became large organizations started in somebody's garage.
Exactly.
Can we talk Apple? Can
Right.
we talk the Ardrey group? Can
Right.
we talk,
Microsoft, they all
right.
start.
You start
And the interesting thing with your Gmail, if you pay an extra $1 or $2 or whatever it is, $9, you can actually get the extension to your to your business name, and that's all it is. And then it still comes into your Gmail. If you feel more comfortable with that than Outlook, that's fine.
Yes, Gmail has a business account.
It has a business account, so you just get. I think it's called the C Suite.
G Suite.
G Suite. Yeah. So you can do the same thing and create that email address that is appropriate for doing business.
Exactly.
And your EIN number.
Right. So you just need your basic information and make sure that your business is set up appropriately so that your business is looking and feeling like a traditional organization, because that's really the test. Where are you located? How are you doing business? And the great thing about building corporate credit, oftentimes you go into a bank and you want to apply for a loan. They want tax returns. They want to see how well you've performed. They want to see your projections. They want to see the results. You can begin building your business credit as soon as you form your legal entity. You don't have to show your revenues yet. You can deal with, hey, this is what we're projecting to do. And you begin to create your profile from that information.
Okay. So you guys heard that. So it's not putting the pieces together for the puzzle is not difficult.
No, it's not. It's just knowing the pieces, right, and knowing in what sequential order to align them, and just making sure that your information looks and feels like a corporate organization.
Right. Candace, the phone number is 323-293-3375. You're calling into the show. I think she wants to ask you some questions.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so important for us to start doing business that way. And people coming out to workshops, $59 is nothing. You can spend that much money just going to McDonald's nowadays. But the more you learn, and this is the thing that people have to recognize, investing in yourself so that you can do better business.
Absolutely. It's important.
It's important.
Every industry that I've gone into, I remember after the civil unrest, I was asked to assist entrepreneurs. The objective was to help them develop better business plans so that they could potentially secure SBA guarantee. And the SBA does not issue loans, but they serve as a guarantor. They're a credit enhancement for the business. And I asked the question, I said, well, what's the problem? And they said, well, these businesses, the plans, they cannot articulate them, and so therefore we don't believe that they wrote the plans, we don't believe that they understood the plans. And I said, well, I am going to break down business planning, and it will be so well understood that you will never, ever, ever again have an issue when somebody says, give me your business plan. It's like, oh, yeah, I got that.
Right. And in my earlier career, people didn't want to do the work, and they're like, okay, well, you write my business plan. And I did that for a couple of people, and then the last time I did that, and now I do it differently. Now we're going to do this together, because what happened was I wrote a plan for a company that was starting a real estate franchise, and so I did all the research, and so it was like, just the plan was on top. Even the person that had been in the industry for some number of years, she was going, wow, I didn't know this. The future trends, everything, it was there. It was pretty, right? And then they went to go explain it to somebody. And they're like, and I tried to sit them down so we could go over it page by page, and they didn't want to do that, right? They wanted to pay someone to do that. And so after that experience, and of course now they had to have the person that they were trying to get to invest in their franchise to call me. I'm not part of the business. I'm just the vendor that you use to write the plan. So of course that didn't look good, right? So after that, I have made that my that's on me. The onus is on me. So now, look, if we're going to do this, we're doing this together.
Absolutely. So
I'm going to give you the questions. You're going to answer the questions. We're going to go through those questions. I will help with the research, and I'll do the research, but then you're going to write it. It's going to be in your vernacular, your words, so that when you go to articulate it to whomever it is, you're not speaking my language, you're speaking your language. So they understand that you put the time and the effort into your business.
Absolutely, because guess what? Most people think that the business plan, I'm writing it because some investor asks or I'm trying to get loan. No, your business plan is supposed to be a roadmap.
Right, exactly.
And so guess what? One thing that I know for sure is if you've prepared a business plan before you've executed that particular plan, the plan is faulty at day one because the plan is based on historical data.
Right.
So when you get out there, you have to have the ability to adapt the plan to reality.
Right, exactly.
You can project all these different things.
Yeah, because projections are cool, right? Yeah, but the first day you have the customers don't come in, all them 25 customers that were coming in every day,
exactly.
And those first, no, not even one of them came in. Now you're like, oh my God, what? And that goes on for the first 2 months. Yeah, now it's just, it was exactly. Projections, because you can't, unless you're doing the other pieces to get those 25 people in, and then going back and a lot of people, they write it, once they get that business plan, it's like writing a book, like, whew, got that done. Right,
it's on the shelf.
Right, I'll never have to look at that again. and then comes a crisis.
Okay.
Which you addressed in the business plan.
Right.
But you didn't go back to read the business plan, so you have no idea how to address it in real life.
Yes.
Yeah, so they have to realize, and I tell them right up front, that is a walking, living, breathing arm of your business.
Absolutely. It would be the same thing if we were planning a trip. Say we're planning a family reunion.
Right.
When are we going to have the family reunion? Where are we going to have the family reunion? Who's going to attend the family?
Right.
How are they going to? It's the same thing. That's really all your business plan is telling folks what you plan to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it,
and if there's some risk involved, how I'm going to deal with that risk.
Absolutely.
When it actually is presented to me.
Yeah.
And you're at the family reunion, Uncle Harold going to show out, so you got to have a backup plan, right, to usher Uncle Harold out the room when he starts to show up.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, but that's the same thing, and they just think, they just want me to have and they come to you and they tell you that. They say, I need a business plan. No, before you even started your business, you probably should have had that.
Yes.
And then you should go back and review it like every 6 months or so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I tell people oftentimes, listen, I know when you're running your business, you're head down and you're running straight ahead, but a good thing to do is to spend a weekend, maybe before you do your quarterly filings, if you're doing quarterly filings, and just look at how your business performed the last quarter.
Yeah.
And compare that to what you projected in your plan and see if you need to pivot, because sometimes you just need to make some pivots, in the business. But if you're not paying attention and you're just running headstrong, you might be running in the wrong direction.
And then so many of our business owners are like, well, it's only me. Well, first of all, we don't want to continue to be only me.
Absolutely.
And if you can't, if you can't afford to hire, then what you want to do is be able to partner with people that can show up the weaknesses that you have, so that you're still operating because you have resources.
Absolutely.
But if it's only you wearing all the hats, and you're never getting to that position where it won't only be you, and you can have a staff to do the clerical stuff, because you're more valuable than that. That's fine when you first start your business, but at some point you should be able to elevate up, so that you're the one out on the street bring the business in, or whatever it is that you do best.
That's why you need capital.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes one of the major mistakes people make is their pricing strategy is not consistent with the reality of what it costs to deliver on that product or service, because they never thought about their staff and team. Mm-hmm. And so people say, Stephanie, you're making it so hard. You're making us look like a real corporation. And I said, if you don't stub in the positions and the salaries and the cost to build out your team, guess what? You'll never be able to build out your team.
You'll never be. And it's so interesting. The other day I was looking at, what was I watching? I was reading something on Nextdoor or Yelp. I think it was Nextdoor, the neighborhood app. And so there's a new restaurant that just came into the Crenshaw up on Slauson. And so somebody was complaining because they are adding on an additional service fee that takes care of, and they tell you when you ask them about it. I think now they tell you beforehand, but I think this particular person wasn't told beforehand. It was after they had eaten, and they were saying that it was additional service fee that was added to take care of their employees' health insurance and wages. And so, and of course the feedback back and forth. I'm thinking, no, that should have been incorporated in your price.
Absolutely. But see, that's the mistake. And that's what happens. I said, this pricing thing is more important than people think.
Yeah. Because if I come in there and you're telling me after I've eaten,
right, you can't do
yeah,
that.
I mean, there's a tip,
Yeah.
okay, but I'm assuming that you didn't put that in. If your staff is how you deliver your food.
Absolutely.
So their wages and their benefits, that should be incorporated, and it should be broken down per item that you're selling, so that you're getting that. You don't have to add an extra fee, because now I'm like, what's this, bait and switch? That's a little deceptive.
It
right?
causes customers to become disgruntled.
Right,
Because
exactly.
if you just tell me up front what the price needs to be, I'll pay the price.
Right. And if I don't, then okay. But don't tell me after I've eaten.
Right.
And definitely don't add any extra stuff.
Right.
Just incorporate. If your food is good, the customer service experience is excellent, the ambiance is excellent, I will come in and probably pay $12, $15 for a sandwich. If all of these other, because when you eat food, you're coming for the experience. It has nothing to do with the food. It has to do with the whole experience.
Yes.
Because I can make a sandwich at home myself.
Absolutely.
I mean, a turkey sandwich is the same at my house as it is at Subway. Right? It's just turkey meat. But it's the experience.
Yeah.
And so don't come and do that. So people really need to recognize, so pricing is absolutely right. I think I'm going to do some workshops on that, webinars on exactly how you price your product.
Absolutely. And it's really understanding those costs. So it builds on the training that you're doing, even with the QuickBooks. When you break down what are my fixed costs and what are my variable costs for my business, or to produce each of the particular products or services that I'm offering. And then a lot of times what people forget is you have to build in profit as well.
Yeah, your 10, your 15, 20%,
Make sure
whatever
all
it is.
of those things are factored in. And then that's how you then determine what your real pricing structure should be.
And I always find when I do workshops in QuickBooks and also business planning workshops, people are basing their price on their pocket, not on their customer's pocket. Let's see. Candace says, yes, that's illegal, and I do not play that 3%. Yes, please do the pricing webinar. I certainly will. But and now that's how I teach QuickBooks. It's really more accounting, because a lot of times I think that's what deters them from using a software is they don't understand the accounting piece. And so when I break it down in, okay, these are your costs to operate your business, this is a cost to be able to hire your employees. I've had clients that we've worked up to them being able to hire. Is so that this is what we need to do at the end of the 6 months we review, end of the year we review, we do an overview. Okay, this is where you are, and been able to increase their revenue by 10 to 15% each year based upon that.
And also it helps to be able to look and audit to see if you can reduce your operating costs.
Yes.
Because in essence, in order to increase your bottom line, you don't necessarily always have to increase your top line.
No.
It's looking at your operational processes and the expenses, the money that you're losing there. So when I go in and do a business audit, I start, let me find the money that you already have.
Right, exactly. And I have I have a client that we've switched over. I was doing her bookkeeping and then we've kind of done a switch. So now I'm teaching her how she wanted to know how to use QuickBooks Online. And when she did that, she realized you find nowadays, because everything is online, right? And a lot of your products and software and tools you use are online. So you have a subscription here, a subscription here, a subscription here. And when she started processing her own, she's like, oh, slash that, I'm not using that. Because you might have set that up a year ago and realized you got 2 accounts. I just realized today, I was like, I have 2 Hootsuite accounts. Let me get rid of both of them because I'm not even using them anymore. So being able to go back and review where your money is actually going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And folks that want to preserve their resources, pay attention to that. You pay attention to everything because
Right,
it
exactly.
all contributes to your business. Yes.
This has been quite informative, and our guest over here is saying it's absolutely wonderful and great information. And they're going to come to your workshop. So can you tell them again about your workshop?
Absolutely. It's going to be Saturday, September 29th from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Lavender Blue. Lavender Blue is 3310 West Manchester Boulevard in Inglewood. And for more information, you can call 310-498-3783.
Okay. This has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been wonderful, and we have to do some stuff together.
Can't wait.
That would be fantastic.
Can't wait.
And as well, I think I have something on the 29th, but I'm going to check my calendar and see if I can at least stop by.
That'd be wonderful. I'd love to see you.
Yeah, we'd love to. And then I'm going to edit the video this evening, and I'll send it over to you. You can pop that up on your website so we can draw people in, and I'll make sure that I blast it out as well.
Wonderful.
So that we can get your room full.
We love that. We love that.
Because this is what our businesses need to hear.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I actually... you sent this to me. I'll make copies because I have my QuickBooks class on Monday.
Okay.
And then I have the digital class on Wednesday. So I can make sure that everybody there gets a flyer and come on out.
Oh, that'd be so wonderful. Thank you, Crystal.
Not a problem. Got to help the sisters out.
Absolutely.
If anybody else is out here helping our businesses, we need to make sure everybody knows who you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My pleasure.
All right. So we'll be right back. Our second guest is here, and he's going to tell you about some opportunities that we can do business in Africa. So I'm kind of excited about that. All righty.
Excellent. Are you contract ready? Are you bank loan ready? So I want to know how business ready you guys are. Part of what we want to do is to match you up with contract providers in Vegas, the casinos.
We put together this training for the contractors in Las Vegas to assist them in becoming business ready.
You know, when you first start a small business, the thing you're shortest on is resources. So the association is actually providing the training free.
Now, Buchanan Associates, they're very well known throughout the U.S., mainly out of the California region, but they have produced so many successful companies that we felt if we brought them here to train our people, that it would allow for that growth because we have so many public works type projects, stadiums that are going to be built slated between now and the next 2 years, prepared to be able to do that work.